You are not your thoughts. Imagine if you had acted on every single thought you've had since being born, every single one of them, the thousands and tens of thousands of thoughts you get every single day. Imagine if you had acted on them. You'd probably be in jail. You'd probably be in jail. Like, seriously, imagine all those times that you thought about literally raping that girl, or you thought about physically harming that guy who disrespected you. And if you're thinking, oh, I never thought of that, man, I'm a good boy, I never get those thoughts. You've probably been castrated by society and you probably don't have any balls. But if you're a healthy man, you've probably had those thoughts at some point in the past. And obviously, you didn't act on them because you wouldn't be here watching this video. You'd probably be somewhere in jail. But if you if you didn't act on them, well, that means, well, you have self-control and everything, but it means that you are not your thought. Just because you get the thought of beating the shit and being violent to someone who disrespected you doesn't make you a violent person. Just because you get the thought of it doesn't mean you have to act on it. And so that means that you are not your thought. And that's the point that I want you to understand. If you've ever gotten those thoughts in the past and you didn't act on them, well, then we can conclude for a fact with 100% certainty that you, and hold on, let me just make myself comfortable, that you are not your thoughts. And so why am I telling you this? Why am I telling you that? Why do I want to make you realize that you are not your thoughts? And we've just proven that by now, I think, by doing the analogy of if you've acted on every single thought you'd probably end up in jail. But you're not in jail, and that's because you don't act on every single thought you have. And so I'm telling you this because I want you to apply the same mindset towards every single bad habit, craving that you get throughout your life and throughout improving. For example, you have a problem with fucking porn and junk food. You're probably similar to me, and you have a problem quitting those. And every single time you get that urge to fap, that urge to go and binge eat on ice cream, on junk food, you need to realize that it's just a thought. You first, before actually gooning, what do? You get the thought about gooning. You have the thought and then you act on it. But if we could stop you just from thinking about it, and then you could, we stop just at the thought and we don't act on it, well, does that make us a gooner? No, because if we don't goon, well, then we didn't commit the act, we didn't experience any of the fuck. Because we didn't experience any of the negatives that come from gooning, and we've stopped only at the thought, well, then we've right. So that's it. It's just a thought. You need to realize that you get countless thoughts inside your mind, and most likely, if you're trying to quit a bad habit, and you're more aware of those cravings than at any other point in your life, and so you need to realize that if you get that thought, you don't need to act on it, and the more you entertain it, the more power it gets over you. Just as if you get the thought about doing something crazy, like throwing an uppercut at your teacher because she's being disrespectful and giving you attitude or something. Just as you get that thought, you immediately dismiss it because you know it's something crazy and you have self-control. You'd never do that. You understand that all the problems and the negatives that come with you losing control over yourself and doing that. Well, it's the same thing with fucking gooning. You get the thought about gooning, but you you have the ability to instantly dismiss that thought and just think to yourself, oh no, I'm not a gooner. I don't want all the benefits. I don't want all the negatives and the problems associated with gooning. And so I dismiss the thought immediately. You don't have to entertain it and, entertain it and feel as if you need to act on that thought. Thoughts do not define you. You are not your thoughts. And so, if you are not your thoughts, then what are you exactly? Well, you're just an observer. You're just here in your own body, in your consciousness, and you just experience life. Your whole body is just, it's like, it's sensors, right? You can feel the table, you have the touch, you have the eyes that allow you to see, you have the ears that allow you to hear, your mouth that allows you to taste, your nose that allows you to breathe, to smell, and your whole body is it's a whole sensory device. And it's the same thing with your mind. It's just senses, it experiences thoughts, it generates thoughts based on your past experience, based on whatever you're trying to accomplish right now. And so yeah, it generates random thoughts. And sometimes you have the ability to control the thoughts, but sometimes they just randomly appear like that, and you don't have any control over them. You're just an observer. You observe the thought. You could be working on a super important exam and randomly just think about fucking fucking, bro. Just you randomly think about fucking. You randomly think about clapping cheeks when you're doing an exam. You didn't want to think that. It just popped in your mind, just like that. Does that mean that you instantly need to stop doing your exam and go find a hooker to clap her cheeks? No, of course not. That's not how it works. And so it's the same thing with so your thoughts are just appear, and it's the same thing with your urges. When you get the thought, the craving of doing a bad habit, it's not you, it's just your mind generating thoughts. And what defines you is your action. Are you going to act on that thought? Are you going to act on that urge? Or are you just going to stay as an observer thinking, oh, interesting, I currently have the urge to goon, but I know I'm not a gooner. I'm not going to do it. I know it's bad for me. And so you just dismiss that thought. And if it comes back, you dismiss it again. And the more and more you do that, the more it's going to, the more control you're going to have over your thoughts. And so yeah, exactly. That's what I want to tell you in this section. You are the observer, and any thoughts you get, you need to realize and understand that you have a choice whether you want to act on it or not. It's easy for things that have a kind of a social context to it. For example, something crazy like raping someone. You wouldn't do that because you know it's bad. You know you go to jail. You're not the type of person. It doesn't align with your values. You're not the type of guy who would do that. And obviously, it's very bad. I'm not like suggesting that you need to act on it or something like that. It's just that sometimes you get that thought, and it doesn't mean you need to act on it. And people are, if you're being 100% honest with yourself, it probably has happened, but you don't act on it because it's easy to not act on it because, first of all, you're probably a bitch. You probably don't even have the balls to rape anyone. And two, if you had the balls, well, then you'd be too scared of the consequences of killing yourself socially and going to jail and whatever. But when it comes to your bad habit, it's easy to just have the thought to goon and just lock yourself up in your room and just it's easy, right? No one's gonna know, no one's gonna notice. And so it's up to you to realize that you're just an observer and to control your actions and to not let your thoughts dictate your action. And so that's the thing. If you want to apply it to your life, exactly, it's you have to realize that you are the observer. You are not your thoughts. And every single time you get that urge to do bad habits, every single time you get that urge to procrastinate and to do divert from your goals and do bullshit, you need to realize that it's just another thought. And the more you entertain it, the more power it's going to get over you. And so if you can do just as any other thought, like, with those crazy thoughts that I just mentioned, like violence and doing that, you dismiss them instantly because you know they're bad for you. Well, then if you could train yourself to do the same thing with your bad habits, you're going to find, you're going to get control over your mind, and it's going to allow you to pour your effort and actions into something that is actually rewarding and that actually benefits you. As soon as you get that urge to eat junk food, remind yourself, it's just another thought. It doesn't mean that I get the thought, doesn't mean that I need to act on it. I remember I was the type of guy who, as soon as I got the thought of watching porn and jerking off, eating junk food and scrolling, I'd think to myself, it's done. As soon as I got the thought, for me it was a done deal. I had to do it. For me, it's like I get the urge of eating junk food. All right, I need to order some food right away, or I need to plan it like today I'm going to eat junk food just because I had the thought. And that's how I get into such a downward spiral, because I remember every single time I get the thought of eating junk food, I'd order every single time. It was automatic. I had no control over my actions. It was my thought dictated my actions. And that's not how it works. You're not your thoughts. You're just an observer who observes the thoughts. And you have the consciousness, the power, and the power to make the decision whether you want to act on the thought. If it's a good thought, if you're thinking about being productive and working on your goals, yes, you want to act on it. For sure. You want to act on your goals and make progress. But if it's a bad habit, like gooning, and you get the thought about that, well then, as the observer, you can dictate your actions to not do the bad habit, to not goon. Because at the end of the day, it's your action that are going to shape your life and your future and your identity, not your thoughts. Thoughts are generated randomly. You don't have any control over them. But your action, that's the thing that you do have control over. And that's the thing that actually matters, because it's what gets you result and makes you feel fulfilled with your life. And so, one last point before we finish. I don't know if I think it's quite a long video already, but one last point is, if you want to train this ability to get control over your thoughts and realize that you are the observer and be able to detach yourself from the thoughts and control your actions, one good tip and one good practice that you could try is meditation. Now, if as soon as I said the word meditation, you thought, oh, meditation, oh no, that's gay, I'm never going to meditate, bro, that's for pussies, well then you can go and fuck yourself, because you're probably never going to amount to anything in life. If you can't even understand, if you can't even be open to something new without even hearing about it, well then go fuck yourself, right? Anyway, for those of you who want to try meditation, you can well, here's how it works, right? It's going to allow you to, as I've said, detach yourself from your thoughts and realize that you're just an observer. And so I've found that it helped me a lot. And right now, it's just every single thought that I get, maybe not every single thought, but a lot of the thoughts I get, I'm able to just take a step back and just think to myself, oh wow, it's crazy. I'm having thoughts and I didn't even consciously want to generate that thought. It just popped into my mind just like that. And when you meditate, you're able to have that realization, and it slows your thought process. It's like, instead of just having the thought of eating junk food and oh shit, I want junk food, all right, let me go and order, you're able to take a step back and say, oh shit, I have the urge to eat junk food, but hold on, is this really good for me? Is this really what I want? It's not me who want that. It's just my brain. It's not me who want that junk food. It's just my brain who generated the thought randomly based on my experience and my past experience of life, and it's generated that thought, but doesn't mean that I have to act on it. And you're able to take a step back and detach yourself from the thoughts. So how exactly do you meditate? Very simple. I'll give you a challenge. you can try it. Every single morning, you wake up and you set an alarm for a timer for anywhere from 1 minute to 5 minutes. And what you want to do is just sit with yourself and close your eyes and breathe. And you do that for 1 to 5 minutes. And every single time that you catch yourself entertaining a thought, for example, you hear you breathing, and now you start thinking about, I don't know, a girl in your class, or you start thinking about an exam that you need to study for. Every single time that you find yourself thinking about something, and you realize that you have drifted away to entertain that thought, you just bring your attention back to the breath. You bring your attention back to the present moment. And the first time you do it, it's going to be extremely hard. You're just going to sit there with yourself, and you're just going to be so bored. It's going to be insane. I remember I couldn't even last, like, I'd last 1 minute and I'd call it a day. Like, after 1 minute, I was like, no, this is way too boring. Hell no, I'm not doing that shit. You just start with 1 minute, work your way up. As soon as you catch yourself entertaining a thought, bring your attention back to the breath, and it's going to train that ability to detach yourself from your thoughts and to focus on the present moment and build this characteristic of being an observer and not just being someone who acts on random thoughts. So I hope it was clear. I hope I explained meditation clearly enough. It's just you sit on your bed, sit on the bed, breathe for 1 to 5 minutes. Try to focus on the present moment, on the breath, for the entire time. And if you catch yourself, your mind wandering, you just bring it back. You just bring it back every single time. Your mind is going to wander. It's undeniable. It's going to happen because, as I've said, your brain generates thought randomly. You don't have any control over them. What you do have control over, though, is to bring back the focus to the present moment. And as I've said, in the beginning, it's going to be terribly boring. You're probably not going to experience much result in the first couple of days. But if you stick with it, I'm like on a 20-day streak. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. It sounds like a fucking nerdy practice to just meditate, but I promise you it's worth it. And it's going to help you so much to quit your bad habits as it has helped me. And I hope that you're going to take this seriously and take action on it. All right, goodbye.